You're listening to Radio Flange Goblet, and coming up now is the Robin Doyle from a Shed in Edinburgh sponsored After Movie Diner.
You're listening to the sweet sounds of the After Movie Diner. Support us at patreon.com/After Movie Diner. Or I'll punch you in the teats. Rate and review us on iTunes, Earthling. And now, here's your host, John Cross.
Oh, now you're frozen again.
Well, hopefully you would freeze. I was hoping that by calling you back, you would freeze and I wouldn't have to look at you move.
Yeah, but now you're frozen again, though.
Oh, I am? So you can't eat?
Yeah.
You can't see me eating my hamburger now?
No, you're right. That's probably the best. I already feel better about this state of affairs that we find ourselves in.
Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the After Movie Diner. Jim is back with us. Pause for huge sigh of inevitability. And then... And we are roaring into our...
Listen, mate, we are living in a world where a huge sigh of inevitability is a wonderful thing.
It is.
Right, there's so little, certainty in this crazy world of ours that inevitability feels like a refreshing cake.
I agree. You are a refreshing cake in the midst of hell.
Like lemon. Do you know what I mean? Like lemon. You eat like a lemon, really nice, light, fluffy lemon cake. That's me.
Right, but you're only a really nice, light, lemony cake if you're surrounded by the bowels of hell. So you are the light, fluffy, lemony cake in hell. All right, I mean, I'll take that. I don't have to do smaller letters, but I think being the fluffy lemon cake of inevitability is, nice. Yeah. I can live with that. Yeah, and I think we should definitely keep talking about this because it's riveting. All right. Well, it wasn't a discussion point. I was just making an observation that inevitability is no bad thing. We can move on after that. That was it, really. If you don't have anything to contribute to the discussion, that's not my fault, is it? No. I've raised, a thing, and you've torpedoed it below the water. If anybody has raised a thing, then sir, you are definitely that person.
Hackles. That's what I've raised.
Yeah. Jim Wallace, I hear one day he raised a thing. And we are careering down into our second Donald Pleasence film of our official, unofficial Pleasencing group
Pleasencing
of...
to support, what do they call it? You know, when you do, marketing things that support other things. You know what I mean?
Sponsorships?
It's kind of a sponsorship. It's
synergy.
Synergy. Yeah.
We are
After Movie Diner.
We are
synergy.
the synergy. After Movie Diner, synergy. Although I don't know how synergistic it is that both things are me.
Well, it's synergy for you, isn't it? It's not so much for me. I'm more like the guest star you've brought in to help flog your stuff.
You're the guest star on the cruise ship of Synergy.
Yeah, the cruise ship of your doomed voyage to musical success.
On the back of a rather natty disco track about a photograph of Donald Pleasence. Whoa, hang on a second. Yeah. You gave me the photograph that inspired the natty disco track. So there is there's a mild fleck of synergy attached to you.
No, there's more than a mild fleck, mate. You're in charge of your own synergy. It's like destiny, right? But you're in charge of your own synergy. If you want to if you choose to use the podcast that you run to promote your own album, that's classic synergy, mate. I don't have nothing to do with it. No. I have always been somebody after the word with, and sometimes I'm somebody after the word and. But the After Movie Diner has always been your baby, your hairy baby. Your unwanted hairy baby left out the back in the garbage bin of the police station of life.
With some abnormal lumps on it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, that only breathes on occasion.
Yeah, but people walk past and go,
Nah.
Look
at a baby in a dumpster and go, no, I don't think so.
No.
Right? Not for me.
Got lumps all over it.
Yeah, it looks too complicated for me. So what are we talking about again? What movie are we talking about? Because time is of the essence, right?
Well,
your essence is running out.
My essence is running out tonight because I have a gig at 9 that I'm watching. However, we are doing, because it is Halloween Saturday, and I'm going to try and edit this and get it out tomorrow. We are doing Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, as this week's Halloween Pleasencing After Movie Diner Miscellaneous Plumbing Fixtures Synergy Gangbang.
Synergy-tastic, where you've got Halloween, you've got your album, your podcast, you're using, it's just, oh wow, you're promoting your podcast and your album off the back of each other using Halloween it's just, I'm in awe, mate. I'm in flipping awe.
Would Halloween be the fulcrum to my synergy? Is that how that works?
Yeah, it would be your synergy fulcrum, definitely.
I used to play Triangle for Synergy Fulcrum.
Synergy Fulcrum, yeah.
So I gave you the option of, I was like, let's do a Halloween movie, but let's not do the first one.
Right.
And you picked 4.
Because I haven't seen it, yeah.
Yeah. Have you still seen it, or did you not watch it for the episode?
No, I watched it.
Because you asked me, like, what are we talking about? And I'm like, I hope you watched the movie.
I just forgot. I mean, to be honest, I think I wanted to forget after it was finished. You know, I mean, I wanted to forget.
Really?
I'd never seen it. But now, to be fair, I did watch the AMC network television version rather than, I presume, the version that's got more like crushed heads in it. Yeah, I guess.
Why didn't you just ask for my Shudder login? I would have given you my Shudder login. You could have watched it.
I didn't know you had a Shudder login.
I have all of the logins, mate.
All right, I'll do that next time.
I got Kenny logins. I got all of them.
Nice. Yeah, but I watched. I didn't feel like I missed too much.
No.
But
although, as we start to discuss it, you're going to be like, "Wait, that wasn't in the version I."
Well, hang on a minute. That sounds awesome. What do you mean a Donald Pleasence skating competition? I'm trying to think it would be awesome, but that would have been awesome. But I guess I just felt that I didn't think that the return of Michael Myers was, or Halloween 4, Return of Michael Myers. If I had to sum it up, I think I'd say it wasn't very good, I think is my feeling.
Well, an old Halloween head like myself, who is a bit of a fan of the franchise, mainly, and I've stated this before, because of Pleasence, right. I do feel like in all of the movies, this even goes for the first movie, when Pleasence is not on screen and or Michael Myers is not killing people, I'm less interested in general. Period. And because of the nature of Pleasence being paid, less than beans to do these cameos in the movies, they tend to shoot all of his stuff. Even the fact that he kept doing them all through the 6th film, they would film his shit over 3 days and then film the rest of the movie around them. And when you go back and watch even the first Halloween and this 4th one, which are probably the most similar in terms of Pleasence to Myers ratio, you can definitely see that Pleasence has kind of been dropped in every 10 minutes. Every 10 minutes, they're like, we haven't had a Pleasence scene, put a Pleasence scene in it. Much in the same way that he is in the first one. Yes, there's great suspense, and yes, there's Myers, haunting the babysitters and da-da-da-da-da and building it up. There's all that slow-moving stuff in the first one. But Pleasence is the driving... Pleasence is a thing where you go, oh, good, there's more... You know what I mean? He's the driving momentum behind the movie. I mean, many people might consider that sacrilege because they love the first one. I love the first one. But to me, it's all about Pleasence.
Well, I think it's right. I mean, don't get me wrong. There were 2 good things about the movie. One was Pleasence, and one was I actually thought it was directed quite well. It looked quite nice.
It looks great,
and there were some nice bits in it. But everything else, literally everything else, apart from those 2 things, was just codswallop.
Well, we'll get into it, and I'll put it within. I'll put it within some Halloween context because I'm something more of a fan of the franchise. But
but bearing in mind that we did, and I didn't want to say this because I know you don't like to repeat yourself, but we did cover the Halloween franchise in quite some detail when we reviewed the even more appalling, whatever it was called. What was it called? The reboot?
Halloween 2018.
Halloween 2018. Oh, right. I'm wondering while I was watching it, and you're the only person, I think, who can answer this question. So I've seen Halloween 4, I think, before, because I'm pretty sure that I've seen the Halloween 4, like, on mute on a television on Halloween, because I sometimes find myself in hospitals on Halloween.
Oh, no. Dude, you're right. We watched it with Teresa. We watched it with Teresa. No, you're completely correct. We watched it with Teresa when she was in hospital.
Okay, right. So what I can't figure out is which bits from this movie I've seen before because of that, and which bits of this movie were ripped off wholesale by Halloween 2018. Because I feel like there was a bit in the service station, and he like murders people. Does that happen in Halloween 2018? Just a bit in him getting transferred from the hospital. Like, I feel like there were bits that were ripped off from here. Am I right or am I wrong? I can't remember.
So the transfer from the hospital, like hospital and police stations, once sort of Halloween 2 comes around, which is all set in a hospital, kind of play a big part of the franchise. So I don't know that him being transported in Halloween 2018 or whatever is ripped off, because it kind of is a reoccurring thing. Okay. He also gets broken out of prison at the end of the 5th one. In a very kind of similar scene as the beginning of the 4th one. There is, in Halloween 2018, I don't know that it ripped this off wholesale. It just because so much of this is, would become quite generic. The interesting thing about, like, very quickly, just for a Halloween overview, and I know we've covered this before and I probably said it on other shows, but Halloween 1 and 2 are basically back-to-back, same story, same night. They could have ended the franchise there, boom, done, right? They're literally continuing the story. Obviously, Halloween 3 has nothing to do with anything. The reason why this is called Return of the Michael Myers is obviously because Mustafa Akkad wanted to assure the fans that Myers was back, and enough of John Carpenter and Tom Atkins wanting to do his thing. He wanted
his name to be the most important thing in the movie. That's what I liked most, was that the movie opened with his name in enormous letters for ages.
Well, that happens at the beginning of all of the sequels.
Halloween 4. Right, but I just like that it's like Mustafa Akkad. You go, but is it? You certainly go, but is this a Mustafa Akkad joint? That's all I'm here for. I don't care about Myers or Halloween or anything. Who executive produced this movie? That's what matters to me.
Yeah.
So don't worry, lads. Front and centre, here's the name of the executive producer, just in case you were worried.
And so the big thing here was Mustafa Akkad being like, enough of all this malarkey with continual storylines and blah, 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 blah. Michael Myers to stalk the babysitter. Like, that is his mantra, right? That prints him, money. That gets him the green. So that's exactly what he wanted this to be. He wanted it to be a return to the sort of success of the first one. And in terms of fan reaction of the whole franchise, I feel like, much in the way that like Friday the 13th Part 4 and stuff, I feel like Halloween 4 is, after the first one, I think, kind of people's like second favorite. I think they find like Halloween 2 a little compromised, and Halloween 5 has its fans, but most people hate it. Halloween 6 is compromised because there's a producer's cut and a TV cut and a theatrical cut, all of which have their own issues, have their own problems, although the producer's cut is by far the best one. And then you have like a decade before Halloween H2O comes out. So people tend to kind of separate the first 6 from the ongoing one, the second half of the franchise. But within the first 6, I think this is most people's like second favorite after the first one. Mainly because it does a few things right, which is, how do we tie in Strode without having Curtis? And you go, she died in a car accident and this is her daughter and whatever, right? how do we get Myers back? Well, we'll have him, break out of, he's being taken to the hospital, he breaks out of hospital, and, we can have a nice moody scene in a kind of psych ward, and then you have like the scene in the ambulance when he like puts his thumb through the guy's face, and
which is
stuff like that.
He puts his thumb through his forehead.
Yeah.
It's completely stupid and ridiculous. Like putting his thumb through his eye or something, or his nose, I don't know, anything. But as far as but that's just not physiologically possible.
Right.
Which I get is like, whoa, he's an evil fucking robot monster thing. But I don't know, it's just like stupid.
Oh, he's an evil robot monster thing. I think, had you been in Mustafa Akkad's like boardroom, he would have been like, I want to hear more about evil monster robot thing.
Yeah, well, that's fine, and I would have pitched in that. But I just thought, other than Pleasence and the direction, that every single decision in the movie perplexed me with its pointless stupidity.
Yeah, I think again we've hit that spot between you
casting, dialogue, plot points, like choice of what happens in the movie.
Have you seen like high school set slasher films before?
Yeah, but I'm not being like sniffy about the genre. I'm saying
no, I know. I'm just saying like everything you're talking about.
Right? None of the actors in it, right, other than Pleasence, are any good at all. Possibly the sheriff gets a pass, but everybody else is like the bloke. What's his name? Brad is like. He looks like
again. That's literally a slasher trope. Like slashers that are filled with nobodies. They're always.
I'm not saying nobodies. I'm saying
like cheeseball.
Like just awful like actors, people. Like there's nothing about them is good or interesting or attractive or like just nothing. They're all awful.
Right, but what?
There's no point in telling me that it's a trope that they deliberately hired. Like
no, wait. I'm not saying they deliberately hired. I'm not saying.
Usually, it's like, well, like they're good looking or they're at least got some kind of, I don't know, like a small measure of charisma. But it's like nothing about choosing these people to put in this movie makes any sense to me at all. This is me,
right? And that's absolutely fine. If we were having a discussion about Halloween 4 based on its, acting or dialogue prowess, then I would be in full-blown agreement with you. However, much in the same way as, things like Police Academy and Revenge of the Nerds movies or whatever, like sex roms or whatever, slasher films have their own, unique vibe, most of which is you hire unknowns, you hire cheaply, you get people who look enough like a jock and enough like a prom queen so that you can, kill them in inventive ways. And then you throw in a little bit of mysticism and you keep the set pieces coming and you have Pleasence knocking about, and most people are perfectly happy. I cannot disagree with what you're saying. There's no one in it outside of Pleasence, and like you say, maybe the sheriff, and maybe if we're fair, Daniel Harris, who for a child actor is fairly decent. But you're right. Outside of that, they could all be replaced with dishwashers with a smiley face right now.
But I don't get why them. It's not anything other than. I'm not being sniffy about the quality of the acting was dreadful. It's I get that slasher films are going to be filled with bad actors. I just don't get why they hired just incredibly dull woman to be the female lead who wanders around in a cardigan and high-waisted jeans and just
Ellie Cornell
is dripping dullness everywhere. And then there's Fred Flintstone's long-lost idiot cousin trying to play a jock with a weird bouffant hairdo and a squeaky voice, just being annoying. I get the tropes, and I don't mind a bit of even bad acting has its place, but it's just puzzlingly dull choices. I just don't get why they're in it.
I'm with you on the Ellie Cornell thing.
I mean, you could put any 20 people in a room, and I'd pick
two better people for the roles than these two. Like, they're just so far. Like, who did they see? Okay, is my point. Who else was in that casting?
Are we going to be able to move past this?
Dog in a box, and
are we going to be able to move past this? Is the question that I am now asking myself on repeat.
Well, no, you can't, but I'm allowed to be puzzled at.
I agree.
Choices that ruined the movie for me that I don't get why they made them.
I
get why the script is bad, right? Because apparently he wrote it in 10 days. Yes. So that's why every single line in the script has appeared in another movie. Nothing really makes any sense, and it's just kind of boring and a bit stupid. And I don't get why he's like, why when we're going to like barricade ourselves in the house at the end, that people just like leave the house for no reason or go up to the attic. It's like, what's he protecting in the attic? Do you know what I mean? Like, you stay here in the bedroom on your own. Right. I'll go up to the attic, miles away from anywhere.
I think I will agree with you that the most question mark that I have over the actors in the movie is Ellie Cornell, the lead woman in it. Danielle Harris's, sister-in-law, stepsister or whatever, playing the character Rachel Carruthers. I agree with you that she is a question mark for me. I do not understand that if you're like, we need a lead that, especially considering the way this movie ends, is essentially going to continue the franchise. Like, we need a Jamie Lee Curtis-esque person who is going to potentially continue the franchise, right? Hiring Danielle Harris makes sense to me. I'm like, I get why you hire Danielle Harris. You can hang, Halloween 4 and 5 on Danielle Harris. That's fine to some extent. But I don't get why you then go, and Ellie Cornell is our Jamie Lee Curtis replacement. But that is the reason why she drips around in kind of like a dowdy cardigan and high-waisted jeans is because they've looked at the first movie and gone, oh yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis was not like the sexy one of the three. Jamie Lee Curtis was the dowdy, sensible, square one of the three, right? And even though Jamie Lee Curtis obviously went on to become a sex symbol in the roles that she would choose and just in her look in general as she got older, in Halloween 1, she's meant to be the dowdy, straight, normal one, right? And so, sorry?
No, you're right. That makes sense. But then she's not surrounded by anybody. I mean, other than
well, she is. You have PJ Souls and Nancy Loomis.
Wait, who's that? That's
the dark in the first one. Nancy Loomis is the dark haired.
I meant in Halloween 4. I'm saying I get that. That's why it works in Halloween. But in Halloween 4, she's not surrounded by anybody except Captain Dull and his 35-year-old girlfriend.
Right, the 35-year-old girlfriend who's meant to be, the sex part, and Captain Dull, who's meant to be the sex pot jock, who maybe gives the dowdy cute girl a look every now and then, but really he's more interested in the 35-year-old prostitute. Right. So I get what I'm saying. What I was trying to say eloquently is I not eloquently, is I get why they looked at Ellie Cornell and she is the girl next door. Put her in a dowdy cardigan. There's our Jamie Lee Curtis. Away we go. Like I get the thought process behind it. However, the execution of that is bollocks, and I'm with you on that.
Yeah, the problem is
the execution of it is bollocks.
Things like that work because of like the story that's being told. The story that's being told is she's the final girl, right? She's the one that Michael's after, but.
Jamie is the one she's after. Sorry, Jamie is the one Michael's after, Danielle Harris, but Ellie Cornell is her guardian. No,
but that's why I'm saying that's why it doesn't work, I think, is because it's like, she's the guardian, but she's not. It's just, you can't replicate the thing because it's not the same, what's the word?
It's not the same setup. Right, yeah. No, completely.
Yeah.
But all he cares about is... how do we get everyone in a row of houses and have Michael stalk them? That's all Mustafa Akkad. And make no mistake, like, I don't care who directs these and writes these are Mustafa Akkad movies. After the third one, where he was like, all right, John, go off and play with your friend Tom Atkins and make a movie. After that bombed, from that moment on, Mustafa Akkad was like, babysitters and stalking and Michael Myers and knives and like that was his whole thing. Now, what I will say about this one this one, the Pleasencing scenes, especially the gas station and when he bursts into the police station, are both they're both amazing. They're everything I want from a fire-scarred, hobbling, gun-toting, overcoat-wearing, mad Loomis Pleasence. Like, I'm a big fan of Donald's two big scenes in the movie. And then him being sort of scattered throughout the second half, as long as as long as we get back to Pleasence occasionally, I'm kind of on board. I think the fact that, unlike some of the sequels that don't even bother to explain where Michael gets the mask, or like we said, Halloween 2018, where somehow the mask is magical, what I like about this movie is it again explains quite organically where he got the blue overalls and where he got the mask. Like, it's done subtly, but it's also and it's done logically, but it also gives like some fan service because the fans love the look, right? So I like that about it. The third thing is I don't mind the callback to the Harlequin clown thing and setting up the whole idea of Jamie potentially becoming the next killers in the sequel, right? I like that, the whole like her putting on the clown costume and mirroring the first one and stuff like that. I like that. The set pieces in general are fairly well done. I get what you mean. The kills are ridiculous and they don't make any physical sense. But
like rips the bloke's jaw off and throws him out of a truck. Right. Although I do question, like, where's he been for the last 20 minutes? But all right.
Yeah.
And I don't mind him crushing that bloke's head. That was quite fun. I quite enjoyed that. Like, I like a good man.
Well, I like the Yahoos. I like the Yahoos getting together and shooting the wrong person. Like, I like that. And I know that's a bit of a retread in Halloween 2. They think they've caught Michael and they set fire to this guy, and it's actually a guy dressed up in the same costume as him. So it's kind of been done before, but I do like the townsfolk being, yokel idiots who go out and kill someone incorrectly. Like, I quite like that. And I do like, therefore, the rationale of Loomis when he says, if we tell everyone, they'll see him on every street corner, they'll hunt him down, whatever. Now, that ends up happening anyway, but I do like that thought process. I like the fact that also by this point, Loomis is 100% sure that Michael Myers is, an otherworldly mass murdering goblin. Like, he's no longer a man. Like, I don't know how many times Pleasence says in the movie, he's not a man, but I think it's like every other line.
The worst line, but I can't figure out if it's so bad it's almost good, is that he's evil on two legs. That's like the least menacing description. It's like a ball of evil, and then I see like two little spindly legs. Do you know what I mean? Like wandering around. It's like everything's evil except the legs. His legs are fine. Do you know what I mean? The legs are normal.
Yeah.
Everything above the legs, that's pure evil. That is.
What about now? How much would you have paid?
Related to the evil.
How much would you have paid to see a TV spin-off where Pleasence and the dude who plays the drunken priest at the beginning hunt evil around Middle America in a truck every week as like a TV show?
Because the problem with that scene is that Pleasence's makeup is really bad in that particular scene. It's like the rest of it looks pretty good, but something about the lighting, or probably just like
yeah, you're missing the point. Fuck the makeup. Pleasence and the priest.
I find the whole scene very distracting. I quite like the idea, but all the way through I was going, that makeup job is really bad.
It's funny, right? I can always tell, like, either how much you've actually watched the movie or whether you were distracted or, like, whether you were in the mood or not. Because sometimes you watch, like, a genre film and this shit doesn't quite bother you. And then other times you watch a genre film and you're like, oh, the makeup was really bad and Captain Hairstyle wasn't very good.
In that one scene, because I get what you're saying about Pleasence, right? I get
that
everyone else watches that scene and thinks it's super cool that him and Pleasence have drinks and talk about, you know, existential evil. You on the other hand are like, well, I didn't think the makeup or the lighting was very good.
No, I'm not dismissing it. What I'm saying, I didn't say all the lighting. There's no point in pretending that what I say has no value because I'm being nitpicky. I'm saying that even though that was a good scene, maybe, I don't know, I couldn't enjoy it because all the way through, Pleasence had what looked like a pea stuck to his face with blue tack. It just bothered me. It's just distracting, that's all. It's very difficult to enjoy the moment of the movie. I'm not saying I have to believe it's true or that the lighting wasn't any good. I'm saying if you're watching a scene and all the way through, the bloke who you're watching the scene for looks like he has like mushy peas on his face, it can be a bit distracting. Right. That's all. But I'm not saying that makes it a good movie or a bad movie, just that I couldn't enjoy the scene because of that.
Whereas most Halloween fans who watch the movie are like, wait, didn't Pleasence like blow himself up at the end of the second film? Like, we can buy Michael Myers comes back because he's an otherworldly goblin, but you know, Pleasence is human and blew himself and an entire hospital sky high at the end of the second one. So the fact that he has,
I like him. I like the way he walks around. I really liked when he like waded into the river to check the back of the ambulance without thinking. Yeah. You know, just like the way he looked and the way he did it. That was really cool. And I even liked the dynamic with him and the doctor at the beginning where the doctor's like, fuck it, I got rid of Michael Myers. I'm fucking sick of Pleasence knocking around here, going on about the, you know, the reality of evil and all the rest of it. I'm so bored. Get rid of Myers and maybe he'll bugger off, retire or die. I liked that. That was cool, and I believed that. And I believe that was a reason to send him away without any kind of guards. Like, pump him full of drugs and get rid of him. I couldn't give a shit anymore.
It feels to me like the first half of the movie feels to me like pretty well structured for a movie like this. Like, pretty well. This is how we get from here to here. This is how we get from here to here. This is how we introduce the characters. Blah, 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 blah. Like, all the thing that I love about the movie is the first half of the movie. I feel like they either ran out of money, ran out of script, ran out of time, or just ran out of effort for the second half. Because you're right.
There's not actually, for all you're saying about the, you know, stalking from house to house and like inventive kills and stuff. There's not a whole lot of that in the second half of the movie.
No,
we don't see what happens in the police station, right? We don't, unless they cut out of MC, right? So we don't see that. He just goes straight to the house where they are.
Yeah.
And Pleasence like, I better go to the other house because he'll probably be there. You've been there anyway. It doesn't matter. Yeah. It's fine. Again, Pleasence has to leave. But then he just comes in there, and I like what he did with the copper, leaving his head on the table. That was good. And I quite like just like stabbing the woman with a rifle rather than shooting her. And I liked it that he crushed the bloke's head. But that all happened pretty soon together. He didn't really like stalk the town or do anybody else in, right?
No, and I agree with you. Like, once the Yahoos start driving around and once he starts stalking the house, I'm less interested. I'm definitely not interested in, you know, she's the cop's daughter and she's having it away with Captain No Charm, and, you know, Ellie really wants to be with him.
Like, scalding coffee over it. It's like, have some coffee. It's supposed to be like that's right, you know, girl power or whatever. It's like, that's third-degree burns you've just given her. Yeah. She literally just made that coffee, and she's wearing a very thin T-shirt.
Yeah. But no, so I'm sort of, I don't care about any of that. I'm sure a writer somewhere was like, oh, this is going to add some extra tension that the person we're meant to be following shows up at the house where they're all going to be hiding out, only to find out she's having it away with her bloke. Like, I'm sure someone somewhere thought that was, you know, cunning character portrayals. But really, I don't give a balls. I think the opening credits really set the scene. I think the Myers escape from hospital, like, I love that whole sequence. I love, like you say, the doctor. I love whatever, right? Pleasence realizing that he's escaped and chasing him down, and the gas station scene and all that I like. The setup of Michael getting to town and getting the mask and whatever. The setup of who Daniel Harris and Ellie Cornell are. I love the sequence where is Michael in a bedroom, isn't she? That whole like nightmare sequence at the beginning I like all that. Like the first the movie to me starts and you're like, oh, okay, we're off. We're going. Stuff's happening. We're being introduced to things. Michael's back on the stuff. Pleasence is back, blah, 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 blah. And then at a certain point, the writer has two ideas. One is, hillbillies shoot the wrong guy. And the other one is like a bunch of people in a house get killed. And that's sort of it. And then you get back to the very end of the movie again, where you're like, oh, shit, wait. She's evil, right? So it's got like a really great beginning, I think, for a Halloween movie, for a fourth part of a slasher franchise. It has a really good beginning, and it has, probably even more so than like Friday 4 to some extent. It certainly has for its time, a really good twist, shocking ending. That you didn't.
Pleasence's reaction at the end, like his acting, that was a top bit of acting. Him freaking out.
No,
Like I love all that stuff. It wasn't hammy or over the top or stupid. It was really, really good and quite chilling.
And then of course, exactly like the Friday franchise, they then balls it up because she's not, spoilers, but she's not evil in the fifth one. She's in a mental institution for, not even a mental institution. She's in like a home for troubled children kind of thing.
So did she do her mum in? Or it was like
she did kill her mum in, but like, and Michael is...
Forgive and forget.
No. She's in a home, like she's on lockdown, like she's not allowed to like... go out and about, like but she's not in a like mental asylum, like corridors of crazy people. She's in like a comfortable home that's set aside for troubled and psychologically damaged children. And all that it is like, oh, some kids in the school are having a Halloween party and Mai shows up and kills a bunch of them and then stalks Jamie again. Like Halloween 5, they don't even bother to try and find new ways to do it. They just kind of rinse and repeat, which is the start of the downturn of the franchise. And then equally at the end of the fifth one, they try and do this whole mystical, like, oh, really, Michael is part of the cult of the Thorn or whatever, the whole mystery of Samhain and this whole bloody thing, only for then part 6 to come around. And when someone actually delivered a script that explained the cult of the Thorn and did all this stuff and da-da-da-da-da, Mustafa Akkad was like, no, not having any of that. And I'm like, you've set up two endings of two different films that might have gone down two different pathways to actually extend this franchise beyond your fucking high schoolers get stabbed with a knife thing, which we did in the first one. And you try and like, how do we have it to be more stalky babysitting and less, culty Thorn Samhain weirdness? So, every movie after this is sort of compromised a little bit with the avenues that the franchise could have gone down, all of which would have been much more interesting than what they did. However, I think that the fourth one, for what it is, outside of your quite reasonable and understandable reservations about the performance and the script, which I fully agree with, for a fourth part slasher franchise is a pretty decent one, and it's still one of the reasons why, even though I've watched the Fridays a lot in the last few years, Halloween will always, because I think the first one's like a classic. The second one is a really good, strong slasher film in a hospital. It might not be the best Halloween movie, but it's a good stalk and slash in a hospital kind of movie. And then the fourth one, tries to reinvigorate the franchise, which is great. The sixth one has some elements in it I like, but the producer's cut is much better than any of the others, and I would strongly suggest you watch that. And then the seventh one, I think, wraps it up really nicely. So, like, for me, the first 7 Halloween movies, the weakest link for me is 5. The weakest link and the worst one for me is 5. But it still has Pleasence in it, knocking about and being mad. And I'll watch that.
Which one's 7 then?
7 is the Halloween H2O, where Jamie Lee Curtis comes back.
So and like the reality TV show one.
That's Resurrection. That's the first really bad one. That's the one that I'm like, and it's really bad because they kill Laurie. And the biggest sin Resurrection does, apart from trying to jump on the whole reality TV train, which bizarrely is still fucking going, and I don't quite understand it. But apart from that, which is a crime, the biggest problem with Halloween 8 is they undo the end of Halloween 7, which is sort of unforgivable because Halloween 7 has the perfect ending. And the other reason is they kill off Laurie Strode, which, again, completely undoes the fantastic ending of Halloween H2O. So, you know, for me, the franchise finishes at Halloween H2O. And the previous 6 have certainly compromised in places, and 5 and 6 are nowhere as interesting or strong as they could have been, considering how they set it up. But 1 through 4, I think, they all have something to commend.
So 1, 2, 7, and 4, 5, 6 is what you're saying. That's
yes. The 2, even though they unfortunately get rid of Jamie Lloyd at the beginning of 6, or they get rid of Jamie Lloyd's character. They get rid of Daniel Harris's character, Jamie Lloyd, at the beginning of 6, which again is sort of unforgivable because they didn't really follow out her trilogy. The Jamie Lloyd Jamie Lloyd daughter trilogy is 4, 5, 6, and the Jamie Lee Curtis Laurie Strode trilogy is 1, 2, 7, and they're the ones I like.
Well, I think that makes sense. I mean, I like 1 and 2 and 7. I really enjoyed 7. But fourth, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm almost certainly not going to watch 5 and 6 because I didn't enjoy 4 at all. I get what you're saying. I do, and maybe in a different mood or a different day, I might have enjoyed it a bit more. And I seem to remember when we watched it on mute. I did quite enjoy it, right? When I can't hear what's going on.
We didn't watch it on mute. Did I go?
No, you're still there.
Oh, you went. That's weird. Oh, sorry, the connection on my thing. We didn't watch it on mute. We watched 4, maybe even 5 in the hospital. Like, we all sat around and watched it. Like, we were there all
night. We did?
Yeah.
Wow, the memory's really terrible.
Or maybe we watched 1 and 4, or maybe we caught the tail end of 4 and that was on mute. But we definitely sat down and watched a whole Halloween movie.
Yeah, I don't think it was 4. Maybe it was 5 then. I'm not sure. I can't really remember.
But no, I get what you're saying, and I get why it's certainly not a franchise you can dip into. I mean, this one makes a bit more sense because if you've seen the first 2, you can kind of go to this one because the third one isn't anything to do with it. But I wouldn't go down the rabbit hole of 5 and 6 because ultimately it's disappointing because they don't tie off the story ends to either one. So
I can see that clearly the point is just give them what they want, and if you need to sprinkle some narrative bollocks in it to keep it moving, whatever you need, right? And when they're not interested in stringing anything together, just like I said, they're only interested in just remaking the same film over and over. And to really accomplish that, you have to add in different stakes, I guess, right? Like what's at stake by stopping him.
Yeah, I think if I have anything to commend 5, it's that by the time 5 rolls around, Pleasence is in full Van Helsing mode. So all Pleasence is there in number 5 to be the guy who carries the weight of having to defeat Michael every time, and ultimately doesn't always succeed. There will always be a body count, and while he'll do his damned hardest to defeat Michael, ultimately it's a fool's errand. And it's much like we love in the Satanic Rites of Dracula, the fact that both Dracula and Helsing are oh my God, generations of our family have had to bear the weight of fighting this evil or fighting this good. Pleasence is definitely playing Loomis in 5 and 6 far more oh my God, do I really have to strap on my pistol and put on my trench coat again to save these children? And yes, I do, but oh my God, the weight of that hangs heavy. And I like that aspect of it. I love the Van Helsing aspect to
I can see that. And he is good in it. My only objection is he's not in it enough, and they don't use him terribly. He keeps walking out of scenes or being thrown as at one point, doesn't he get thrown out of the way by a different Michael Myers? He's got blonde hair and it's a bit distracting. I'm pretty sure in the school, when he gets like chucked through a doorway or whatever it is that he gets chucked out of the way, like Michael Myers has blonde hair and it's really weird. They obviously didn't have the bloke. And they went, that's fine, you wear it. You go, but he's got different colour hair. We'll fix it in post or whatever.
Oh, maybe, yeah. Oh, you mean, yeah. Yeah, I think there's like a dodgy stunt man moment in the end of the movie. Mm-hmm. But that again, that's kind of something that you have to deal with. But what do you give it on the Pleasence rating, and then what do you give it on the movie rating?
Well, movie rating, I give it maybe a 3.
Out of 10 or 5?
Out of 10.
Wow. Okay.
And
that was my chair and not my button.
Boring and annoying. But Pleasence. I do really like him in this one. I'd probably give him a 7 in this one. He is really, really good. He's at a good age. He's giving it the beans. I like his limp. And his,
I like his limp.
And
good limp acting.
Yeah, he's giving it, him wading into the ambulance, and I give him a 7. Is there anything on the Pleasencing 2 that directly relates to Halloween 4?
No. The Sam Loomis song is on the Pleasencing 1, but it is strictly the Sam Loomis song, the Ballad of Sam Loomis on Pleasencing 1, is all dialogue directly taken from Halloween 1 that somehow I managed to make rhyme, even though it doesn't in the movie, and sing it in such a way that it fits with the music, which I was quite pleased with.
Nice, mate. That is a challenge. I'm very impressed that you managed to do that.
Yeah. So
there's no Loomis songs on the Pleasencing 2?
No, there isn't. No,
that's a shame.
I didn't want to do a retread. I didn't want to sequelize the Ballad of Sam Loomis.
The fresh nature of the Pleasencing 2 is part of its irresistible charm.
I went back to one of his earliest stage. Earliest positive stage performances that he then did in a movie with Harold Pinter's The Caretaker. So there's a song about The Caretaker. There's a song about his famous Columbo episode.
Yeah, which is another good one.
Which garners a lot of interest because him and Falk had such an absolute joyous time working together. And Falk sung his praises repeatedly, and it's a genuinely good Columbo episode. And what else did I? Oh, there's a Raw Meat track.
Phenomenon, of course.
Phenomena, and then Scouts the Mouse, which was a animation / record. It's not a movie, but it's a creative thing that Pleasence did. And then the rest are all songs just about Pleasence or Pleasence's life.
Four Wives Done,
yeah, or Following Your Father's Footsteps.
Yeah, 2 classics, very different, but classics nonetheless.
And then the last one, which is all about how Don never turned down a movie, he never said no to any film, which is Never Say No. In the first Pleasencing album, there is a 3-song war suite all about Donald Pleasence's reaction to Second World War, because Donald Pleasence was initially, because he's a pacifist, was initially a conscientious objector, but then when Hitler marched across Europe, went the other way and decided to sign up for the RAF, and was like, I'm gonna get the Nazis, I'm gonna sign up for the RAF, joined the RAF, only to then get shot down and put in a prisoner of war camp, and was in a prisoner of war camp. But then when he came out and the movies that he was in, he was one of only 2 people in The Great Escape who had actually been in a prisoner of war. It was him and Hans Messemer, I think, who plays one of the German guys, both of whom had been prisoners of war for the other side. Right? So I was able to tie it in with that. But then also, there is a bit of trivia about Pleasence where he's the only actor to have played Goebbels, who gave the command, a German officer who executed the command, and a prisoner of war who had like whatever the command was like done against. Like in 3 different movies, Pleasence played the guy who gave the command, the guy who executed the command, and a prisoner of war who got like attacked by the Nazis. So that led to my 3-song rich war suite of Pleasence Goes to War.
And these are available to purchase on the Miscellaneous Fixtures Bandcamp page, I'm assuming.
They are miscellaneous, yeah. So it's Misc. What is it for the Bandcamp page? Better find that out, huh? Because
I would, yeah. MiscPlumbingFixtures.com.
It is. It's miscplumbingfixtures.bandcamp.com. So MISC plumbingfixtures.bandcamp.com. You can also go to miscplumfix.com, and all the links are on there as well.
Yeah, and it's on Spotify, of course. What I tend to do is I buy the album, and then I stream it on Spotify, because then I feel like I'm giving you 2 lots of revenue that way.
Well, because you're a top gent, that's why.
It just seems like, why wouldn't you do it that way? You buy the album to support.
Yeah.
When you listen to it, enjoy it on Spotify. It's exactly the same oral experience.
It is.
Right? With an A and a U. And it's just more cash for you, isn't it? I mean, not a lot more cash, but some.
Some more cash. And do you know what? Do you
get annual royalty checks, or is it monthly royalty checks?
I could withdraw from DistroKid monthly, but it tends to be in a quarterly setup, because some streaming services only report every 3 months. They do not report every month. So while some do, I think Amazon does and iTunes does, they do a monthly thing. I think Spotify takes about 2 or 3 months to update. I think like iHeartRadio and a couple of the others take about 2 or 3 months. Deezer takes like 6 months. Tidal takes like 2 or 3 months. So they all have different times. So I kind of only withdraw like once a year, but I get updates kind of every 3 months.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, I know that you're not going to be, moving to the French Riviera anytime soon with the proceeds.
But people should be buying and streaming my albums way more than they are, because certainly I would say everything I've produced in 2019 and 2020 is well worth your time. I wouldn't necessarily suggest buying all of them, but I think my output in the last 2 years is my strongest songwriting and production.
It's like significantly above average, you're saying?
No, I think 2019 is significantly above average, and I think 2020 is in the good to great category.
Wow. Bold words. Well, the only way that people can disprove what you're saying is to buy the album and listen to it, right? I mean, if they want to be ornery about it, right? There's 2 ways to go about this, right? Either they agree with you, in which case they should buy the album and listen to it, right? Or they disagree with you, in which case the only way to know that for sure is to buy the album and listen to it.
Either way, buy the album. But it is 2 minutes to 9 and I have to jump. But thank you so much, Jim, for yet another wonderful discussion of the Pleasencing. The next movie I've decided we're going to do with Donald Pleasence in is going to be Race for the Yankee Zephyr, but I have to get you a copy of that. I have the Blu-ray, but I need to get you a digital copy of that so you can watch it. But you will enjoy Race for the Yankee Zephyr. If I tell you that he destroys a bar in Australia with a chainsaw, that's what you're in for. Pleasance drunkenly wielding a chainsaw in Australia.
I'll have a look for it on Roku, because these movies do crop up in weird places.
It's because it's an Australian, New Zealand, British co-production thing. And it's at the moment only released on Kino Lorber Blu-ray, and they don't really put their stuff on streaming. It's sort of in this weird netherworld. But I will get you a digital copy if you can't find it.
The other way to do it, if you want, is I can just look on Roku and see what there is.
Yeah, no.
Let you know.
Well, no, I would like to do Race with the Yankee Zephyr, because I think you will particularly enjoy it. But
all right, fair enough. Thanks, mate.
And there aren't many of those Pleasencing films where he's like a character all the way through the movie that is worth watching. So,
all right, fair enough. Cool.
All right, dude.
All right, man. That was fun.
Speak soon. Take care. Bye now.
Take care, man. Bye.
heaven trying to keep him locked up, because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was pure and simply evil. And whenever there is trouble, I will strap on my beige trench coat, and I try to warn the people that he's coming home. Oh yeah, he's a Dracula to my Van Helsing, and I'll never stop hunting him down. Michael Myers, look behind you. The presence of Donald Pleasence means that you're never gonna be alone. Oh no, no, you're never gonna be alone. Michael Myers, I will always be right behind you. He was my patient for 15 years. He became an obsession with me, until I realized there was nothing inside him, neither conscience nor reason, that was even remotely human. An hour ago I stood up and fired 6 shots into him, and he just got up and walked away. Well, I'm talking about a real possibility that he's still out there. Oh, 6 bodies, Sheriff, that's what I've seen between here and Richmond. You better believe it, I tell you, a filling station in flames. I'm telling you, Michael Myers is here in this town. He's here to kill that little girl and anybody who gets in his way. Michael, why now? You've waited 10 years and knew this day would come. Don't go into Haddonfield. If you want another victim, please take me, but leave those people in peace. Oh, Michael, please leave them in peace. Leave them in peace. Haven't you done enough? But you better know whenever there is trouble, well, I will strap on my beige trench coat, and I will try and warn the people that he's coming home. Oh yeah, he's a Dracula to my Van Helsing, and I'll never stop hunting him down. Michael Myers, look behind you. The presence of Donald Pleasence means that you're never alone. No, no, you're never alone. No, I'm always gonna be there behind you. Run, Michael Myers, don't you know that's true? Oh, yeah. I'm always gonna be behind my old bench. I'm Dr. Sam Loomis. Not the only good thing about the film's past. Number 5. Ooh, oh yeah. Why did that Frenchman